Mama said don't talk to strangers. That's okay. We'll do it for you. Welcome to the Bar Talk Podcast, where we talk to interesting people doing interesting shit. Hey, do you drink coffee?
Nope.
No?
Just quit that too.
Did you?
Yeah.
What's going on with that? What?
Addictions.
Oh, dude.
Addictive personality.
Come on in close to the mic there. Yeah. No, I have been, like, you're a coffee abuser?
I never drunk coffee before until I just recently had our last child.
Yeah.
And I was drinking coffee to try and keep up with
child.
life. Yeah, life and the business.
Yeah.
And, it just turned into an addiction, an unhealthy addiction, it felt like.
Dude, that's a big thing to admit on, like, a legal substance that you can get everywhere.
Exactly.
Right? I feel like I'm addicted to coffee. The other day, I get up, I think I made 2 French presses, and I think I had a drive-through coffee, and I'm at Canadian Tire trying to buy parts for something, and I hadn't eaten yet, and I'm jittering, and I'm just, like, vibrating. I'm like, oh, my goodness. Like, I drank too much coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Then you're just robbing from yourself, right? Because you think it's a boost of energy, but it's just taking energy from later on in your day.
Borrowing time from the future.
Oh, I don't want to admit it.
It's hard to. I was loving it, and my wife was so happy, too. She was like, oh, you're drinking coffee with me. Like, I stopped for
it's a social thing.
It is.
Yeah.
I guess it's good if you can control it. But for me personally, I've always had an addictive nature. So I noticed it was just being unhealthy my whole day. Like, I was drinking coffee and I wasn't eating my meals, and just eat one meal later on the day, and I just feel like
I know.
But it's one of those sort of acceptable addictions that we kind of have in modern society, right? It's not, it's a weird thing to sort of.
I know. And I got to come to terms with it. Because, like, this morning, I walk into the kitchen, and I said, I've been thinking about coffee since I went to bed last night to Lucas. Yeah. And he's like, Dad, you're an addict. I was like, I know. I know. Like, I go to bed thinking about coffee in the morning.
Really?
Yeah. And I try to think of, this is how bad it is. I want coffee so bad, I come up with excuses on who I can buy coffee for.
Oh, you're deep. You're deep.
That explains a lot.
Oh, it is. Like,
you're deep.
I know. Like, because when you have an addiction, you find little excuses for it.
Oh, yeah. You justify it.
And you get other people to do it as well.
Yeah. Alcohol, weed, everything.
I don't know, many people know I grew up really strict in the church, and I didn't drink till I was 32. I didn't have weed till I was 39.
Really?
Just started microdosing mushrooms at, like, 45. So, like, this is all new to me, right? Like, I never really struggled with, like, being addicted to something before. But this coffee stuff is serious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's, when you think about it, why is it on every corner? Why is the Timmy's drive-thru the most busy drive-thru everywhere in Canada?
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, there's coffee, right? And it's just accepted, right?
Yeah. I had concussions. I've had a few concussions. One time I was working on the farm, and a wrench slipped and hit me in the head. I had a bad concussion. And the doctor said, you got to stay away from alcohol and coffee. So I'm a home brewer at the time. Ooh, there we go. There's my jitters. I was a home brewer at the time, made lots of beer, but it wasn't hard staying away from the kegerator. Yeah. I could stay away from the kegerator. It was staying away from the coffee maker. Yep. I'd come up in the morning and I'd just stare at it like, I don't know how to start my day without this.
And that's what it becomes. It just it consumes your life. And me personally, I've always had an addictive personality, and I noticed it. It hasn't even been a year, and I was like, no, I got to stop. My wife was even upset. She's like, oh, I'm not going to have coffee with anybody now.
It's like that friend who quits drinking, and you're like, what are we going to do now?
Exactly. One of my friends had told me about quit drinking. Well, I still want to be fun. I was like, I think I can still be fun without drinking. What do you mean, man?
Yeah. So you say you've had an addictive personality, and you've seen that behavior come through it with other things.
Everything.
And then you notice that come forward with the coffee, and then you're like, I got to stamp this out before it gets out of hand.
Coffee, weed, alcohol, cocaine, food.
Wow.
Addictive personality. I guess it just runs in my family. My parents are Irish. My father was an alcoholic, and the rest of his family. So I started drinking at a young age, and it overtook my life, right?
Wow.
And I just really, really am noticing it. Actually, last week, I just started backing off smoking so much weed. I've been an avid wake and bake smoker since I was 12 years old, 13 years old. And this podcast actually was more motivation for me to stop it, just to have more clarity and be able to conversate better.
Wow.
And this past 2 weeks, no smoking during the day, which has been like, I've noticed how addicted I am to it, right? Just smoke at night, smoke a joint at night, and it has been pure bliss. It's been amazing. I've really noticed it was turning into a negative relationship with it. I love weed. I grew up with it. It's been a huge part of my life. I love the flavor, the social aspect. Weed's been like my coffee, but I really noticed it was, just not a healthy relationship.
It has some benefits for you.
Yeah.
Right? You
Definitely.
feel like it has some benefits for you, but you had to keep it in its right place.
I've always loved it for the creativity, motivation. Like when I was younger, I smoke a joint and I get more motivated. I like the sativas, right? I don't like to sit around doing nothing. And I just noticed I wasn't, the taste didn't feel the same no more. I'm waking up and smoke. I had a lot of stress in the past couple of years, to be honest. And I really started smoking it a lot more. And it finally caught up with me. And I'm happy I was able to, whoa. All right, you got to do something about this.
Yeah, good. I mean, it takes a lot of courage and
willpower.
But before that, it even takes a lot of self-awareness to recognize that something that you love is out of place.
Yeah, and I with everything that's happened in the past few years for me, for being aware, I believe that has a lot to do with the psychedelics, with microdosing and having my trips and coming to realizations like, what are you doing, man?
Okay, so we just jumped right into the coffee discussion, but to introduce Sean,
a
mushroom farmer.
Yes, indeed.
Food mushroom farmer.
Yep.
Yeah, the name of your farm.
Feeney's Fungi Farm.
Feeney's Fungi Farm in Aylesford area.
Aylesford, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, you can find them on, let's get the socials and stuff out of the place there.
Feeney's Fungi Farm, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
My wife mainly deals with all that.
Yeah, and you're finding at farmers markets and all that.
Yeah, the Wolfville Farmers Market, Kingsters Farmers Market, which just opened last night.
Yeah.
And Halifax Brewery Market.
Yeah.
And as well as a few lovely restaurants in the valley, such as yours.
Yeah, the mushroom tacos here, vegan friendly.
Yeah.
People love them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you bring the family in quite often, and you guys get some of the mushroom tacos every time. There's always a couple floating on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Had to get them.
Yeah, great product. It's awesome. I've seen your operation. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's really cool to go into the grow room and see these bags. Explain the process to people, and then we're skipping all over the place. Tell people what you do, and then we'll get back.
Well, I grow gourmet mushrooms. You start everything with a hardwood substrate. You start everything from mycelium. Mycelium suspended in a liquid broth, right?
Okay, that's how you start it in your little laboratory.
Yeah, your liquid culture.
Some Breaking Bad shit in there. I've seen.
Sort of, yeah. It's pretty cool.
You're not making meth though, really, right?
No.
Okay.
I can't handle coffee. I can't handle meth. I think I got meth on accident once, and it was not a good weekend. But yeah, no, there's a little bit of science with it. There's a lot of labor with it. It's a little bit of everything, right? I had that little itch as a kid, like the scientist, mixing stuff and stuff. So that's really cool for that aspect of it. But yeah, it all starts pretty much in a syringe or an agar dish, the mycelium, and you just keep expanding it. I expand from oats, and then from those oats, sterilized oats, I expand it to sterilized sawdust. Yeah. Nutrified sterilized sawdust, and then from there it goes into the.
So you're killing all the other stuff off in your sawdust and
any competitors, yeah.
And you're started your little culture.
Yeah.
Kind of seeded in there, to lack of a better term.
Yeah. Seeds pretty much sums it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You put your seeds into your sterilized sawdust.
Yeah. And it all goes into like a food grade plastic bag kind of thing.
Yeah, they're called unicorn bags, and
unicorn bags.
Yeah, they're so you can sterilize them, right? They can take the high temperatures. Right. They have a specialized filter patch on it for gas exchange.
It doesn't break down.
Yeah. So that's I think the worst part about the mushrooms is having all the plastic with it. Yeah. But apparently recycling's a thing, so put it in a recycling bag.
Because you've got to contain the oxygen and O2 levels in there, right?
Mainly for contamination as well.
Right.
Like you can grow mushrooms just about anywhere on anything, but there's everything else in the air that's ready to compete with that food source that the mushroom is
airborne
consuming.
bacteria and stuff like that.
Yeah, trichoderma, that's the biggest one. It's like a green mold, and that's just rampant everywhere.
Very similar to like the brewing process, because when we're brewing, you got to keep all the lactobacillus and all these wild things out, because you're just making like a sweet liquid.
Yeah.
And you want to introduce your yeast, or if it's a sour beer, your proper bacteria. Because if you don't keep that clean and if something else gets in there, you're going to have a beer that tastes like gym socks. And nobody really wants that.
No, not at all.
I've had to dump some very expensive beer down the drain, isn't it?
It's a really interesting process, the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of control these variables. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heat and sanitization, all that kind of stuff. And you just want the proper bacteria and yeast to eat your stuff and get a good product and keep out the competitors. So you're dealing with a lot of the same kind of stuff. So like cleanliness is like huge.
Cleanliness, yes, definitely. Yeah. That was what I just did right before I came. Clean the fruiting room every Friday. Make sure you scrub them. Yep.
Okay.
Bleach it all down. Scrub the floors. Scrub the humidifier. Make sure everything's nice and clean, and put everything back in.
So I know what happens with an infected beer. It tastes off, doesn't taste right. But what happens with your mushrooms if a bad competitor from the wild gets in there?
What I've learned recently is you can incubate the bags at a certain temperature, 50, 60 degrees, and hopefully the mycelium can compete with it and it just consumes it.
Okay.
Right. So I guess it turns.
So if a little bit gets in there, the oat compete it because you're creating a natural environment for the mycelium.
Yes. So the mycelium, if you have a nice strong culture, it should be able to take it over and still flourish.
Yeah.
That's why you've got to be so careful when it's young because it hasn't established itself, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And with the filter patch bags and the sterile, like everything that I have.
Filter patch bag, what does that?
That's the unicorn bags.
The unicorn bag that lets certain.
For gas exchange, right?
Exchange, yeah.
And there's different size filters for different parts of the process for doing the grains for my oats, which is the first step of it. Mm-hmm. They have smaller microns, like it's 0.02 microns, and then it goes up to the next bags, 0.05 for different. The grains are the most important, right? If something gets in there,
very vulnerable at that step.
Yeah. You can't expand all your other bags, which it happens, right? It definitely happens.
So the yeast is the mycelium, like the baby mushroom, is consuming what, like the starches from the grains.
The whole grain, in itself, it actually turns it into a fermented superfood. From what I've been learning, a lot of the big mushroom companies that do the powders and whatnot, they grow them on the grains and blend that up. Wow. It's essentially like the same process as tofu. It ferments it, and so now the oats are even more beneficial to you, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of big mushroom companies that do the powders grow it on oats, dry that out, and then dehydrate it, as opposed to growing the fruiting body and then dehydrating that and blending it up, like I do.
Amazing.
It's fascinating. Every aspect of it. I still can't believe I'm doing it. It's it's quite unreal.
So when we're growing up in school, we hear about like the plant kingdom.
Yeah.
And plants breathe CO2, right?
Yep.
And exhale oxygen.
Yeah.
Humans, we breathe oxygen, exhale CO2.
Same as the mushrooms.
But the mushrooms aren't part of the plant. I mean, here's science class, kids. If you weren't paying attention, if you were smoking weed in school, this is your chance to catch up on some shit because they're not really plants.
No, they're more like us.
Yeah, that's wild.
They breathe oxygen as well. A big part of the growing room, the fruiting room environment is fresh air exchange.
Yeah.
Right? You have fresh air coming in, fresh air constantly exhausting out. Yeah. And they need that fresh air. And if you don't have that fresh air, you'll notice it. They'll get long and stemmy trying to reach for the oxygen, right? Same in the forest on the floor, right? That's what you're recreating, essentially. That nice environment like the forest, right? Enough oxygen, enough fresh air, enough light, enough moisture.
Amazing.
It is.
It's pretty cool. Mushrooms are like wildly popular now. It seems like the last few years has been this explosion of interest.
Yeah, the biggest growing crop in the world. They're the fastest growing produce crop in the world. Everybody's on it. Wow. Well, it's been lost in Western culture. Yeah. I think it started like in the 1900s. There was somebody died from a bad soup or something, and it just spread like wildfire. And there's mushroom phobia. There's a lot of cultures.
Demonized a bit. Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, because I was thinking, what was my first experience of mushrooms as a child, besides Smurfs, seeing little creatures living in mushroom houses. I remember that. Which is weird. Who knows where that came from? Somebody was doing some mushrooms. But I remember seeing them in the yard, but then it was like very demonized. It was like, don't touch that. It'll kill you. Yeah. I was raised to be more afraid of mushrooms in the yard than, pedophiles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't touch a mushroom.
Or bears or wolves or anything, right?
Ironically, I hated mushrooms my whole life.
Really?
30 years.
Why? Just because somebody planted that in your head?
Texture.
Texture, yeah.
Texture. I couldn't get behind the texture, and that's because they were never cooked properly. You usually get mushrooms on a pizza that they just throw them on, and
Right. They're canned mushrooms. That's gross.
Canned mushrooms. They come out dried out, or even in the restaurants. I cooked in a lot of restaurants about 10 years ago, and they'd get all the brown ones, throw them all in the pot, oil, butter right in there at the same time, and then so all that moisture releasing with all the oils just creates a soggy mushroom. And the simple step of just cooking out the water first before you add your fat changed everything. Then I learned how to roast them in the oven, and it was game over. I got past that texture, and I started tasting them, and it was it's just a simple thing as that, the texture, and I hated it my whole life, and now it consumes my whole life.
I might have to get you to stop in the kitchen on the way out, give us some pointers.
Anytime.
Yeah. Because you gave me one of those grow bag things back in the fall.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. And I grew them at home, and they grew so fast.
Did it turn out good for you? Yeah.
And I think I went away for like a week, and they came back, and they were huge, and then they were dry.
Yeah.
But they were still good.
Oh, yeah.
I picked them, and I think I made like an Irish stew or something like that with them. They were dried up, but then I kind of put them in the Irish stew, and they rehydrated, and they were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big feed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it's like putting meat in there too.
Yeah.
Especially with these ones that I've had. I've sourced a few from a few good growers, and the quality of them is unlike anything else I've ever had. Right?
Yeah.
Just a beautiful texture and melts in your mouth almost.
Yeah. Yeah. So like back to the childhood fear of mushrooms thing, like that's something that was pretty common, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's tons of cultures that are mushroom phobic, or they're for it, right?
Well, seems to be like more of a European thing, right,
Yeah,
Ben?
I think so. But it's kind of associated with death, I think, a little bit as well. But perhaps because of like rot and things, I'm not sure. I have done zero research on this, for the record, but I mean that's the impression that I get, definitely.
And maybe like around the same time in the late 70s when they were, or early 70s, sometime in the 70s, when they were kind of demonizing all the psychedelics, right? So they were probably trying to make mushrooms look like a bit of a bad guy.
I believe that was definitely for a reason.
Probably on there too, yeah.
I just
Stay away from the mushrooms, it's poison, it'll kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little does everybody know, this is quite a wonderful tool to have in your back pocket, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, mushrooms for food or mushrooms for like medicinal purposes, because you got all kinds of, you grow like lion's mane mushrooms as well, right? Like that's not a psychedelic thing. I mean, it's got some like energy effects though, correct?
It's the main benefits that from my research, it's for neurogenesis, nerve regrowth, right? So it's helping your brain, all your nerves regrow, focus, energy. The benefits that come with all these mushrooms are just unreal, and I believe everybody should have them in their. Everybody should know about this. This phobia is just unreal. Like they're so beneficial to everyday life, and we can learn so much from them. The mushrooms are connected to the whole ecosystem, right? Like,
Like explain that, like because the mycelium has like underground networks.
From what I've learned,
Yeah.
all mushrooms and plants started underwater, and mushrooms used to be the plants or the roots of plants before plants had roots. So millions of years ago, they formed this relationship, and like there wouldn't be life without them, right? Plants wouldn't be on land without the mushrooms. And I don't know if you've ever smelled bad mushrooms; they smelled like fish.
Really?
So I started, well, that doesn't make sense. And then you look into it a little bit more and start learning this stuff, and it's fascinating. Like it's just fascinating.
Yeah,
Every
there's
aspect
some pretty
of it.
interesting documentaries out there, and you must have seen some. It was like the Fabulous Fungi,
Fantastic
something like that.
Fungi.
Fantastic Fungi on Netflix.
That once
really
I started getting
interesting.
into mushrooms, that was on there, and that like solidified my interest. I was gung ho, like, wow, okay, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, it's been a little while since I've watched it, but it was like really fascinating stuff about like the mycelium underground connecting all the plants and
Connecting everything.
It's like a neural network almost, right?
yeah,
It is indeed.
and it's doing stuff we don't understand.
Oh yeah.
Like the scientists are still trying to figure out how all this. It seems so like we think of animals as being smart and plants as being kind of dumb, but like plants are probably more intelligent in a weird way than we even.
Well, then maybe they just operate on different time scales, right? Because we are operating really fast, and if they're operating on a different time scale.
Maybe.
Plants have still been around for millions and millions of years,
I
right?
don't feel like I operate very fast.
Well, compared to a tree.
Maybe. All right, so yeah, that got your interest in the mushrooms. So, and then you started your company how many years ago?
Just 1 year ago.
1 year ago?
April 12th.
Yeah.
April 12th. We just entered our second
And you
year.
just moved here in Nova Scotia from where?
Ontario.
Ontario.
Cambridge, Ontario.
The mass exodus from Ontario to Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah. We were part of it.
Yeah, I remember when you arrived here because you came to the restaurant. We got to meet. I
Yeah.
think it was like in the early stages when you were like developing.
Yeah, I
things.
didn't even have a mushroom grown yet. You were the first place I came.
Awesome, and we chatted a lot about like business and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
you sort of gave me a good rundown of what to expect and things to look out for. And you know what? Everything that I could have planned for in business, none of that happened. It was everything that I would have never thought of happened.
Yeah, it's intimidating, but I mean, you just jump in and figure it out.
You have to.
Right? Yeah, and if you're determined, and if you're in debt because so you really don't have much of a choice.
Oh, I was determined. I was in quite a situation when we started this all that I couldn't have even dreamt of. And I was determined. I had no choice, right?
Right.
So I was gung-ho, like, we got to do this. We got to make this happen.
Sometimes, like I think we discussed this in the last episode, sometimes you have these dreams and these goals and your insecurity and your fear can kind of hold you back.
Definitely.
And sometimes it's like a crisis or a do or die moment that makes you take that jump to follow that dream.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I was already in the dream when all my stuff happened, and it just when stuff was going down, I was like, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to make money? What do I got to do?
Mm-hmm.
And all right, just do what you came here to do. Mm-hmm. Focus on what you're doing. Everything will work out. Mm-hmm. And it's been going better than I could have ever imagined.
That's awesome.
It's unreal, to be honest.
A leap of faith, some hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was planning on doing it all back in the garage in Cambridge. Mm-hmm. We were renting a place from my mother and father-in-law, and they had a 2-car garage there, and I was all into it. I was like, all right, I asked them, can I use your garage? I'm going to start this mushroom business here, this and that. And my mom actually, she came into some money from a settlement from a spinal cord injury.
Okay.
And so she wanted to invest. She wanted to help me out with a house back there. And I told her, please don't do that. Like, invest in me, invest in a business for me. And this is what came out of it, right? She needed a new house at the time, and I was looking to start a business, and it just came up. Well, we were talking about going out east. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
And it just snowballed. It just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, I've met your mom many times. She comes into the restaurant with the family.
Yeah.
So you've got like you're living like the little house on the prairie here. You got like 3 generations.
Turn it into the homestead. Yeah.
The homestead on the farm.
Yeah.
Your little farm. You got chickens and pigs and mushrooms and kids running around, ducks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful because I go out there sometimes pick up mushrooms for the restaurant and we hang out and chat, and it's like you got life by the tail out there.
Again, so surreal from what my life was before to this now. Like even just sitting here doing this with somebody like yourself it's surreal.
It's fun, man.
Really is.
It's exciting. It's exciting to see you thriving.
Yeah, it feels good to be finally thriving in life. It feels good to be living my life. You know.
Yeah. So, you want to share a bit of your story, like some of your background?
Yeah.
So how did you get to, someone looking at you, meeting you today, it's like, this guy's got it together. He's a business owner. He's got beautiful kids, wife, family. He's looking after his mom, got the farm, doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known that before. I was the party man.
Yeah.
I was drunk every night. But I was always a hard worker. Like I always, took care of my stuff and did my stuff, but I was just drunk all the time, partying, more consumed my life, right? Partying and drugs. I grew up in Florida, so
Florida, wow.
Quite a wild scene down there. I was in the restaurant business, and it's drugs and alcohol. That's how you survive that business down there.
I guess so.
A lot of my shifts were 12 to 16-hour shifts, and did that 5-6 days a week, and then you go and you drink, and then you wake up at 10 minutes before your shift, and you do it all again, right?
Gee. Yeah, that is kind of the lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah. It was fun when I was in it, and I didn't realize it was.
Yeah. I find a lot of people, like I've been in the restaurant business 8 years, and a lot of people in the restaurant business seems to be a common denominator of like some trauma, addiction, just kind of like really busy minds. And I think they kind of love the restaurant business for a couple of reasons. One is you're serving, you're giving, you're doing something. But the other thing is it's usually so busy, your brain doesn't have a chance to like think about
That's true.
yourself too much.
Actually, most people who work in that industry like the busy times.
Yeah.
They can control it.
Yeah.
You're thinking about something else other than your own problems,
You're
trauma.
doing.
and stuff like
You're
that,
not
yeah.
thinking. You're not sort of having
Yeah.
to think, oh, what am I going to do next? Or there's no.
Right.
It's just.
You just
you
go
know-
with the flow. You get in that flow state, and you're just your
And you
muscle
get good
memory
at it
takes
as well, right?
Yeah, and you feel like you're
Yeah.
a purpose. I mean, Anthony Bourdain was famous for always like celebrating the line cooks. You know, he said like these fancy chefs and stuff, that's kind of bullshit. But like the line cook is the hero.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these are the guys that are in
Absolutely.
there. You know, they're dealing with trauma and addiction, and they're slinging. They're serving people. They're feeding masses and masses of people.
Feeding
every
the
day.
hungry masses, literally.
Yeah, yeah.
And they get
Yeah.
paid the worst usually out of every restaurant
Right.
too.
Yeah, yeah. Usually don't get tips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like they're the real heroes.
Oh yeah.
They really are. Yeah.
I started off in dishwashing pits, $7, $8, $9 an hour,
Yeah.
and worked my way up and really got into it. And I was really good at it, right? I could do the whole kitchen myself. I was running everything, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. And especially when the rest of your life is chaos, you know you can go in there and I can kill it every day, right?
Yeah. And leave all the problems outside. Yeah. It doesn't nag at you for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually the problems came with me. I partied pretty
Yeah.
hard, so I have to
After.
feel it through my whole shift.
Oh wow. So yeah. So we've touched a little bit on the magic mushrooms,
Yeah.
but like how much of that factored into your interest in mushrooms? Because you're not growing magic mushrooms. You're not growing magic mushrooms like commercially. No.
No,
But
no.
you've had experience with them, and that seems to be very, very popular now too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's taken over, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I feel the whole world's sick, so everybody's looking to feel better, right?
Right.
Everybody's looking for something to make them feel better,
Mm-hmm.
and it definitely, like I had taken them many times as a kid, just partying, right? And it happened maybe about 3 years ago. I was on a camping trip with my buddy,
Yeah.
and he just brought a little bit, nothing crazy. We were drinking the first night we were there, and took a couple mushrooms, and it was an awesome trip. We had a great time, shadow puppets rolling around in the dirt, and it was awesome. Then the next day we did them again. I think I don't think I drank yet. But we were just on a trail and walking, and everything was so vivid. The colors, like watching the water droplets come off the leaves and stuff. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I said to myself, why do I even drink? Like, this is great. And that whole weekend was just like magical experiences on the mushrooms. And it sort of evolved from that. I was all into it after that. But ironically, I wouldn't take them unless I was drunk. So I would get drunk and, 10, 15 beers deep, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm ready to do some mushrooms. And I'd start eating the mushrooms, and then I'd lose my urge to drink at the end of the night. And after the big crazy trips, I would, be sitting there contemplating life and thinking, and a few times with a few of my good buddies, we would be sitting there talking like, why do I even drink, man? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And it was about a 6-month journey. I was just at the end of it, I was trying to quit cigarettes too. And I tried the cigarettes. I failed once, and then I was laying there one night. I couldn't breathe, and just going to bed, I couldn't breathe. And the next morning, I woke up. I was like, "This is it. I got to do it." And I would not have been able to quit cigarettes if I didn't quit drinking.
Oh.
Right? Because for me, they went hand in hand.
Yeah.
A pack of cigarettes a day.
Yeah.
And if I'm drinking that night, I'm going through 2 packs. Just sucking them back. And nothing else had changed. I always sort of had that thought in my head about wanting to quit the cigarettes, wanting to quit the alcohol, wanting to just be more natural. But I never had the willpower. And not until I started doing the mushrooms did I start getting this willpower. Did my life start changing?
And why? Why do you think?
I believe it connects parts of your brain that weren't connected before. It lights up parts of your brain. It gets you moving. It gets you thinking, and it makes you start realizing.
To me, like my experience with microdosing mushrooms, like I've never taken a big dose. I started like the capsules microdosing last summer, but I find it's like a calming effect. Like it quiets part of my brain.
Okay.
But I've never had like a big experience with them. I think the biggest I've ever done is like 1.6 grams. Like that's the biggest. But I find it just kind of quiets my brain.
That's beautiful. What more would you want?
Well, it kind of helps me weed through big decisions,
Yeah.
or it quiets me enough to kind of get settled
And allows you to
think
make
things.
those realizations, right?
Yeah. I think it quiets your brain enough to have those realizations, like maybe I have a drinking problem, or maybe I have a relationship problem, or maybe I have these problems.
That makes
that's
sense.
kind of what it feels like.
No, I like
for me.
that.
It kind of hushes me a little bit. And I think it's a shame that, well, mushrooms have been demonized, hallucinogens have been demonized, and a lot of people's first experience with mushrooms are, like you said, a party drug while drinking.
Yep.
So, like
Yeah.
a lot of folks I know, I said, have you tried mushrooms if they're struggling with anxiety or anything like that? And like, oh yeah, in high school I took a bunch, I had a terrible experience. I'm like, were you drinking? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I never thought, I didn't try it till 45, and I did it microdose. So to me, it wasn't a party thing at all. Mushrooms are just not a party drug in my mind.
So you never did them?
Never did them. I didn't drink till I was 32. Now I'm in a brewery.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's different. So I came at all
I've
this
never
stuff
heard of that.
very, very differently. So to me, the mushrooms are like a medicine or a therapy or more of a spiritual kind of thing. So I would do microdose in the morning. It's just a complete different experience from a party drug. And I think a lot of people, if you're mixing these drugs, you don't really know what's doing what.
No, not at
And
all.
you're probably jumping way into the deep end with a big dose while you're already drunk. Like,
Oh yeah,
that's
that's
not
detrimental.
healthy. And a lot of people have had negative ideas of what these mushrooms can do because that's been their only experience.
Yeah.
Or they've seen someone flipping out on mushrooms, something like that, when they're also drunk.
Oh yeah, that was quite common. I didn't have that experience, but I definitely saw people flipping out.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even my mom, when I first started, be careful. You can go. A lot of people do those. They go crazy. They go psycho. I was like, Mom, stop watching the news.
Yeah, but they're like
Yeah.
probably huge doses and stuff like that too, and
Yeah.
mixing it with other things. But there's been a
100%.
huge, Canada really is leading a lot of the research. There's a number of universities in Canada. There's some research projects going on around here for psilocybin. So that's the substance in the mushrooms that give us that psychedelic experience, right? Psilocybin. There's psilocybin research going on with PTSD.
Yep.
A lot of that.
Oh yeah.
A lot of that. With
yeah.
our Air Force, with our military, Air Force, police officers, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people are finding some real relief and real chance to like kind of get a grip on things with the
Get
with
out
the
of their own
psilocybin.
thoughts.
Get out of their own thoughts. So it just calm it down a little bit. Something I hear a lot about is how mushrooms attack the ego.
Ego death.
Ego death.
Yeah.
You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. What I found for me is I was, just a few years ago, I was still the guy I was in high school. Mm-hmm. Still like the rap music, still like to be drunk. I was still the complete same guy. And this is who you are. This is
you're
the
how old
person
now?
you've become. I am 33.
33.
33. So I've always felt like I was always the same. And ever since the mushrooms, I started I stopped drinking, and I still listen to rap music a lot, right? I mean, I grew up with rap music for 20 years, right? I grew up in that scene in Florida, and nothing against or anything, but it just didn't really fit me anymore, right? It talks a lot about the drinking and the drugs, and when I was in that, it fit my lifestyle, right? It really fit my lifestyle, and then I was like, oh, why am I listening to this stuff? I sort of reinvented myself. I sort of had to figure out who I was after it all, because I was this sort of shell of a person that society sort of made me. And I feel like I broke out of it almost. I woke up from this crazy dream. And that ego death, I don't know how to explain it so good other than like it just killed who I was. It got rid of that toxic person who I used to be and let me start being me.
Yeah.
Who I actually wanted to be.
I've heard that many times.
Yeah.
So the ego, we often think of the word ego as in like arrogant.
Yes.
And it is that, but ego isn't just that super arrogant side. It also can be the other extreme where you don't think enough of yourself too. Like the ego is like our perception of ourselves.
Right.
And a lot of times we love ourselves too much, which is usually like a form of self-hate. It's like you really do hate yourself, so you're going to pretend you really love yourself.
Yeah.
Or you really don't think much of yourself at all. And both are unhealthy. If you're always thinking of how great you are or how bad you are, it's too much focus on self.
Yes.
And what people say the mushrooms do is it kind of wipes that away a little bit. It kind of eats that part away, so you can just be a little bit more free about having to think that you're everything or nothing. and it gives you a little bit more back to just who you really are.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess.
Who you really are.
Who
And
you really are.
that's what it is. Like,
Yeah. Not so much thinking about yourself.
It allowed you to take a step back, do you think?
I think so. I think so. In
Almost
my
see it-
experience.
almost see it from the outside a little bit. Instead
Right.
of being so deep into it, you're kind of like
Yeah.
tensed up in this kind of ball of like,
Right.
yeah.
for me, it's made me see what's important in my life, right? I mean, before, when I was partying and stuff, you know, I didn't have kids. I mean, for a little while I did, but I didn't have kids. I wasn't in a relationship. It was just me, you know? And then I got a kid, and I got a wife, and this and that, and it, like, I have this life now. I can't, it's not just me anymore.
Yeah.
So I have to take care of these people, you know? I have to, it woke me up to that. It made me see, like, whoa, you gotta change gears, man.
Yeah.
You gotta stop living this way.
Yeah.
You're just killing yourself. And for me personally, my dad, he was a perfect example of everything that I didn't want to be, right? He didn't ever took care of himself, alcoholic, was in the drugs and all that stuff. And, you know, he lost his mind, right? He's not a part of our lives anymore. He's still alive, but he's not a part of our lives anymore for the way he turned out. Like, we don't know if he's schizophrenic or bipolar, but it was a really big wake up. A few years ago, I used to say, I'm just like you, Dad, like talking about the drinking and stuff. And I now see I'm the farthest thing from him, you know? And it's, that was a big thing for me, right? Like, I don't want to end up like that. Yeah. And these mushrooms, they were always my tool. They've been my tool. I still use them. I haven't been on any big trips in a while, and I don't do microdosing like all day, every day, but I'm gonna take some today, and I use it for focus, for energy, for this and that, and it's the best tool I've ever had. I find the best tool.
Yeah, me too.
And you treat it like a tool. Try not to abuse it.
You remember, like, in the 90s when you have the PCs and you have to, like, do a defrag once in a while?
Yeah.
It just seemed like the hard drive was just getting too scrambled, and you have to, like, defrag a little once in a while. I feel like that's maintenance. It's kind of how I see it. Like, I don't do microdose every day. Sometimes I'll do it for like a half a gram, like every other morning for a couple weeks, and then I'll take a couple weeks.
That's a good size microdose.
Yeah. I'm not going anywhere. Half a gram with my yoga and cold shower and cold plunge and stuff like that.
That's what I want to get on next, the cold plunges. You've got me inspired for that.
It really does help. Like, between those two things, the cold plunge, like back in the last fall, the cold plunge and the microdosing has, like, completely changed my life. Like, really, like, my nervous system was just on fire. I was anxiety, like crazy. I was clenching my jaw and grinding my teeth, and just my stomach was upset out. My nerves, like, my life kind of fell apart a little bit.
Every time I see you and I've talked to you, you seem very calm and relaxed and just...
It's the mushrooms and the cold. But it kind of does, it kind of resets the nervous system. A lot of our nervous systems are on fire, and we don't even really realize it. Like, if you've been born, you know, into a place with trauma and abuse and just difficulties, poverty, mental illness, addiction, whatever kind of situation you're in, your nervous system can kind of get stuck in this fight or flight kind of thing. It's hard to focus. It's hard to get a grip on how you really feel, you know. And then some tools like this, you know, as we grow up, we can't really blame our childhoods forever.
No.
You know, some of us have much worse than others, but you got to take responsibility at one point. And, like, nutrition and sleep and things like the cold plunge or cold shower or make microdose can, like, really just help. Like, you got to learn how to calm that nervous system. Meditation, just a hug with somebody, or, you know, if you have a romantic partner or even a buddy, just like a hug. Yeah. Just, like, breathe together for a second, bring those nerves down so you can make better decisions.
Yeah, 100%.
Be a better person.
Breathing, you mentioned nutrition. Yeah. I think that is a huge factor in everybody's life. And I think everybody could do with educating themselves on what they should be eating. Yeah. That was a big thing too. When I stopped drinking, I went vegan for 4 months. Mm-hmm. I watched some documentaries, and they were like demonizing meat, demonizing eggs, this and that, and I think I gravitated toward it. I hooked onto it because I was quitting all these other addictions, right? So I did it for 4 months, and it didn't make sense to me. I wasn't feeling good after a while, and so I really started diving into the nutrition. Like, what are we supposed to be eating as people? Yeah. What should we be consuming? Yeah. And then, you know, to me, I made sense of, okay, well, how have people survived for the thousands of years?
Right. That's how I think. Anytime I feel like I'm out of sorts, I think back to, like, how did humans live for most of human history? Because
Yeah.
the last 100 years have been very different.
Industrial
And it's only a very
revolution.
small fraction of a percent of how humans have lived for so long.
Yeah.
So if we really want to get back to like our health, it's probably better to think of what our ancestors did.
Well, apparently it all starts in the gut from all the studies, the microbiome,
which is very similar to like the whole mushroom culture thing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, all the
Amazing.
proper stuff that you need. I mean, we are similar to a mushroom, right? Mushrooms thrive in good conditions, as do we. As do anything. You have to be in those good conditions.
Right.
Your sleep,
You got to
your
create
food.
those conditions. As a farmer, what's your job? I mean, nature does its thing, but you got to create the right conditions.
Create the right conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the light, the air, the cleanliness, the timing, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And we got to, and it's hard to do that for ourselves, but we have to have the same kind of discipline with ourselves.
100%.
It's hard. Like about a little over a year ago, I was like miserable. I was skinny in places, chubby in places, and just soft and weak. I had bad shoulder, bad ankle. I had bags under my eyes. I wasn't healthy at all. But I was too stressed. I wasn't eating properly. And then I would try to work out, but I had no energy. Yeah. And I finally got this food app and had to start tracking my macros. And life completely changed. I was only doing about 1,200 calories a day. I'm almost 6'6". And I was only eating 1,200 calories a day. So this food coach put me on almost 4,000 calories a day.
And you were working out on top of that.
I was working at the restaurant and the brewery, and I was trying to work it on top of it. And I still had a little belly, and I was skinny, and it was like, it just wasn't working for me. And I was kind of eating like decent food, just not nearly enough. Yeah. I don't think most of us know what we really should be eating.
No.
Yeah. So I this food coach in this food app, I had to weigh and track everything. And I was like on high protein, high fat, little lower on the carbs.
Yeah.
Felt amazing.
Yeah.
The aches and pains started to go away because I was pushing my body so much and not giving enough protein. My ankles and my joints and my muscles couldn't repair.
Yeah.
I wasn't giving them the building blocks they needed to repair.
That protein.
I was just pushing this machine way too far. And then here a year later, like I've got probably 15 pounds more muscle on, the belly's gone, this anxiety's down, feeling way better. I had like inflammation in my joints and stuff.
Yeah.
All way better.
Well, it sounds like you did like the right thing to do from my research, the proper proteins, proper fats. Fat's been demonized.
Fat has been demonized,
And that's
especially
insane.
for women, for healthy production of hormones. Like we really need healthy fats like salmon and avocado and olive
even just
oil
from the beef and from pork and stuff. Like good quality healthy fats are everything. Like people have thrived off that. I seen a video of a tribe. I think they were in Africa or something. Still like they're to this day they're still untouched by society, right? And the reporter said to them, "What's the most important thing in your life?" He said, "Meat and honey." And that just made like look at all of them. They can run all day long. They'll outrun any of that 4-year-old outrun you, right? And they're doing what we should be doing, right? We have all these other things in between, right? All the processed stuff, this and that, the preservatives.
The longer the list of ingredients, probably the worse it is.
Yeah. That's what inspired my lifestyle now too, right? As well as COVID, like seeing all these grocery stores shut down when all that happened. I was a chicken driver at the time, hauling chickens in Ontario. I went to the grocery store after my shift, and the stores were empty. So I just spent all night working, delivering thousands of chickens for everybody else, and now I can't get my food. What is this, right? All of that different stuff inspired my lifestyle now about my food choices, my everything, my health. It's what more people need to go back to, I think.
I think so. And we probably can't all grow our stuff ourselves, but make relationship with a farmer, right?
100%.
Like you meet people at the markets. I know during COVID, we buy our beef and our pork and stuff from D'Aubins and Bridgetown, and buy our apples and potatoes from Spur Brothers and mushrooms from you. Like sometimes it takes me a long ass time to get to work because I'm stopping in so many places getting stuff on the way. But building those relationships are great because that dollar is going straight to your neighbor who's a farmer, and you have that relationship, and then there's a lot less bullshit in the food. And then if the supply chain ever breaks down, right? If the supply chain breaks down, the grocery stores are empty, it's not going to affect you so much because you've already got a relationship with a farmer. Like if you have a relationship with a regular customer and they come to you in need, you're probably going to be much more likely to service that customer that's been loyal to you rather than the new one that just shows up and says, you usually buy the cheap ones at the store, but I'm here for you today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You know, I think the area that we live in is, I think about that stuff a lot. I think everybody has like this impending doom thought about society and all that right now, just because it's all so toxic. But I think this area that we live in here is very strong in that, like such a supportive area, lots of good agriculture, lots of farmers.
The Annapolis Valley makes some great stuff.
Oh yeah. It's amazing, to be honest. I've never seen it anywhere that I've lived before. I've been in cities, but being out here is just really just a breath of fresh air.
And people complain about the Loblaw profits and stuff like that. People, you're putting the money in their pocket.
You go to the stores.
It's your money, and you're giving it to them. Smarten the hell up. If you don't like the money they're making, find someone like yourself.
That's what you vote, isn't it? With your wallets,
go to the Spur Brothers.
Yeah,
find your local producers. Go to the local fish market. I was at the fish market in Digby this morning picking up fish and bringing to the restaurant.
Yeah.
Take time, go to your way, support local.
Yeah.
It makes such a big difference.
Oh, it really, really does.
Yeah.
It really does. Your money stays where it should stay.
You're getting a better product. Is the money staying in the community? And then if things really do go sideways, we've invested in advance in our local infrastructure.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I don't want to depend on Loblaws from Ontario to feed me in a crisis.
You look at any mushroom thing in the store, every mushroom in any grocery store around here, other than probably down in the city, they come from Ontario, right? I looked into going to the shelves in Sobeys, and just when I was starting off, I wanted to see what it was all about. Right away, I had to pay $1,500 for an auditor to come out to tell me what I would have needed to do to make my place up to snuff to sell in these stores. Really? $1,500 just for you to come out and tell me what I'm doing wrong here, and I don't have my stainless steel table, and just it's like, you know what? I'm happy you come out, because it made me really see, okay, I don't want that. I don't want to support that. I'd rather me, myself, and my wife, we go out to the farmers markets. That's how we're going to do it. We're just going to go to these local restaurants. We're going to go to the farm market stores and put the money to the people here.
Yeah, I know, like the road I live on, there's an apple farm there, and you can stand on this apple farm and you can see the superstore, but the superstore doesn't buy their apples. Their apples come from Brazil.
Yeah, pure anarchy. You know what? The biggest thing that blows my mind is milk.
Yeah.
Milk. For my whole life, I grew up drinking it, right? And over the past few years, it just started affecting me. Can't drink the milk in the store anymore. Ice cream, it just tear my stomach up. And so I started doing the research into the raw milk and all that. And I went around the corner to a dairy farm, and I asked him for some raw milk. He's like, I can't sell it to you. So I'm not asking you to sell it to me. I just want you to give it to me. I want to try it, right? You guys drink this? I said, yeah, we've been drinking this milk our whole lives, right? They get it there, they put it in the tank, and then it gets picked up and shipped off. I went and got it and drank a whole liter in one day, didn't eat anything else. I was completely fine. I felt alive. I felt amazing.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it, right? And it blows my mind that I can drive 5 minutes away, go pick it up. It's the freshest, purest form of it. But somebody else comes and picks it up, ships it to a plant, cooks it, does whatever they does to it, bottle it, and then ships it back. And now it's...
Makes you sick.
Yeah, it makes me sick. It's watered down. It blows my mind. This is the society we live in, and that makes me question everything, right?
Well, it's the big corporation thing, right? Isn't it? It's everything they have to extract every last cent out of every little step.
Everything is numbers.
Everything
is numbers. Shelf stability.
All the preservatives. The more humans step on things, the worse.
Yeah.
The worse it is. Yeah. Amazing. But it's pretty cool that you're growing the product, and you're handing it over to the people that cook it, serve it, or eat it themselves.
Direct to consumer. I feel that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You don't need the middleman. I do like going to the farm market stores, like Spur Brothers and Canning Meat Market. There's a new one opened up. I think we're going to go into, but those are the stores you want to support, right?
Yeah.
Because those stores, they have all their own products too, right?
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It really is, man.
That's something I've really wanted to support with my restaurant here. Like, we buy as much local as possible.
Yeah, well, I looked at all the menus. Yours is one of the first menus that I looked at before moving out here, right? I think I seen mushroom tacos. Oh, yeah. And then I seen Diabins, and the first thing I had was the burger. I was like, that's quality beef when I came in and tried it.
Yeah.
And you can't get a good burger really anywhere anymore.
No, that commercial stuff is...
Yeah.
Can't even come close.
No, before moving to the valley, I never tasted meat, chicken, anything the same like it is out here. Like the real stuff, right?
Yeah.
Never tasted it. It's all, you can't even compare it.
Even onions and things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole food industry is a sham.
It is, and it's such an important part of our health that I don't think we really understand enough about. I would love to see our government help us before we're sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was a person I knew, she was complaining about spending 6 hours in the emergency room with her kid. And she said, we need more doctors. And I said, wait a minute, what if we had less sick people? She goes, no, we need more doctors. I said, slow down and think of what I'm saying here. What if we had fewer sick people? And she goes, nope, we need more doctors. I'm like, I give up. Mm-hmm. Because like, if we can invest in people before they're sick, wouldn't that be better?
There's no money in treating healthy people.
No, but like, and I think we have an opportunity here in Canada where healthcare is public, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, in America, it's being sick is a business. And we probably get a little bit of that here, but our government really has an interest in keeping us healthy. Mm-hmm. To save on healthcare costs, like our economy probably suffers when the mental health, the physical health, when people aren't showing up for work, when people aren't able to contribute to the economy, that all has an effect.
You would think that'd be the main goal.
You would think it would be a main goal. And I would love to see that happen more, that our healthcare system would invest in education and nutrition and these kind of things before we're sick. Because I don't want to be too rude here, but I've been in the emergency rooms with injuries, stuff before, and a lot of the folks in the emergency room are there from self-inflicted shit.
Yes.
Like obesity, smoking, and diabetes, and all these things that are really preventable. Yeah. And it's a shame, like I know when people are poor, they can't always afford the food. It's cheaper to get Joe Louis and Coca-Cola and stuff like that than it is like a fresh tomato, but that's wrong.
Yeah,
I think that's wrong.
But all that stuff's addicting too, right? Like
it is.
They make it so
sugar in particular. That's something that's like so, and it's not been demonized at all. Everyone thinks, sugar's. People have this weird thing like, fat's a terrible thing, but actually, sugar is incredibly bad. Fat, you need fat. You don't really need sugar.
No, it doesn't occur naturally in wild. Really, sugar really doesn't, except for like honey, maybe.
But that's different again.
It would be very hard to come across that. Yeah. Honey. I would love to see our government, our healthcare, invest in helping people be sick well before they're sick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Educating. It should start in the schools. Yeah. Educating them.
But also doing some programs to make the healthy food cheaper. Yeah. Tax the shit. Tax the cakes and the candies and the sodas, and then give that money to farmers like yourself. That's what I would love to see.
I think I've read a few things. I think there might be warning labels soon coming. To shittier foods.
Yeah. Well, they tax cigarettes and alcohol.
They've done that a lot in Europe already. If you go there's a lot of places in the UK, for example, like it'll tell you it'll have a red sticker on it if it's got a high amount of sugar or salt in it, for example, and other stuff. But
yeah.
Tax that stuff.
Oh yeah.
It shouldn't be cheaper. Like they tax the garbage and subsidize the farmers.
Yeah.
Help the farmers make a cheaper product that's local.
Yeah, 2 liters of pop should not be cheaper than water.
Right. How?
I don't understand it.
I don't get it either.
I honestly don't understand it. It doesn't make sense other than, money. Like there's corporations that are in control of it. They make money and it's all a business, right? The healthcare is in bed with all the big corporations that are selling the stuff. So who's going to change it, right?
Yeah, there's no money in healthy people, unfortunately.
There's a lot of people that are seeing it though now clearly.
Yeah.
A lot of people are really getting behind it. Just talking about that, we had the opening meeting the other night at the Kingston Market, and I guess there was a thing that they did in the school, and they asked the kids, well, where do you go to get your food? And I think 20 out of the 25 kids said Walmart, right?
Wow.
And they're trying to change that. Okay, well, let's tell them, you can come to the Kingston Farmers Market. You can get your meat here. You can get your eggs. You can get this. Make this a part of the community, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that needs to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Really does. It really, really does. What else? Like, we need food to be alive. That is everything, right?
And that's not just our physical health, but the physical health impacts the mental health.
Yes.
I know, like, for myself, it took me a long time to figure out that I had, like, a blood sugar problem. Hypoglycemic, I guess. It's like the opposite of being diabetic. I make too much insulin, so then I burn through it really quick, and then I crash. If I have sugar on an empty stomach, I get cranky, And
Really?
I lose my vision. I get jittery. Yeah, very bad. I have to
That's
stay away from.
hypoglycemic?
I believe so. Yeah, I'm no doctor, but I just know what I need to do. I know what I need to do to stay sane. So I need like high protein because it takes longer to break down. High fat, keep the carbs low, sugars non-existent. I'll have a little bit of something sweet after a big meal, but that makes me such a nicer person. It took me so long to realize, like, I drink a can of Coca-Cola and then I'm an asshole. I mean, maybe I'm just naturally an asshole, but I was noticing it was harder to keep my emotions in check and my negativity and my depression because of the sugar.
Just the sugar.
It really was fucking with me bad. And I met a couple in the restaurant here one day. The wife was pressuring the husband to have cheesecake, and he's like, I can't. I don't want to. And I mean, sometimes I get involved and I shouldn't. You should not get involved in domestic disputes in the restaurant. But I'm like, what do you find? He said, when I eat sugar, I'm an asshole. I'm like, me too. And then I kind of explained it, and then the wife was listening, and it was all kind of news to her. And this guy was kind of connecting dots. He's like, he didn't really understand why, but he knows he just doesn't feel good when he eats sugar. And I think a lot of people are like that and don't realize it. My son's the same way. I found him having a breakdown one day, and I said, you had sugar today? He's like, no. He said, I had poutine and Subway. I said, well, first of all, those are all carbs. You've hardly had any meat there. And I said, and you've had sugar sometime today. You just forget about it. And he was really cranky and upset. And then he came to me and said, you know what? My girlfriend gave me 5 Mike and Ikes this morning on an empty stomach. And that set off his blood sugar for the day. And he didn't really realize he was having a sad, emotional, down day because of sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sugar's horrible.
It is horrible.
It is horrible. It's so addicting.
And kids want it, and it's easier just to give it to them.
I never looked at nutrition labels growing up.
Yeah.
I never, ever looked at them. Even the Gatorades. Like, you think Gatorade, give electrolytes. It's good for you, right? Yeah. And then when I started looking at the back of labels of everything that I had been consuming over the years, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
I used to really break out bad.
Yeah.
All over my chest, on my face when I was younger, then my chest and my back. And I thought I was greasy from working in the kitchens or something. And then when I went on that vegan thing, I stopped sugar and stuff, and everything started clearing up. And I said, oh, man, it's the sugar.
People are going to turn off this podcast. We're demonizing coffee. Now we're demonizing the
coffee.
Sugar.
They already turned it off.
Sugar in your coffee, dairy in there, yeah. Oh, but it is true, though. Like, some of the things are easy to demonize.
Yeah.
And then some of the things we just, they're common. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
There's coffee and sugar in every corner store and every gas station.
Everywhere you go.
Everywhere. It's sugar shelf stable.
Yeah. Convenience stores are called convenience stores, but what is convenient about them? Other than being able to get sugar there? Sugar and cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
That's
all
it.
the stuff that's not good for you.
That's true. And often, like, gambling stuff as well. And it was all kind of in a little bit in the same...
Yeah.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, I didn't think about the gambling, the lottery tickets. And
so
all
it's
that.
like I recommend people do an experiment, like higher protein, high fat, low carb, cut the sugar out, and just see how you feel for a little while.
Yeah, see how everything changes.
See how it changes. Yeah.
I bet most people in the world, a lot of their problems would disappear. Right? Anxiety, depression, their mood swings, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Start with your diet. Start with the food, everything you're consuming.
Yeah, my energy levels stay a lot more stable as well. Like, my mood and my energy stays a lot more stable when I have a higher protein and higher fat.
Oh, yeah. I just made sure I ate a big bowl of beef stew right before I came here. I was, it'll be good for the rest of the day now.
Yeah, yeah. Because if you have the, like, sugar or carbs, it's up and down. Your mood and energy levels. So do you have future plans for your farm? I mean, we've talked a little bit about what brought you here, but what was it? What's the goal? What's the next step?
Just to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Realistically, I mean, the first goal was like, okay, be a big mushroom guy, right? Like, there's a big guy down in the city. He sells a lot of grocery stores and this and that was sort of the vision in the beginning, seeing how many mushrooms I could grow. But it's more transformed into the homestead. Like, I just opened my second fruiting room, so for that's enough workload for me, right? I can fill up my whole week with that between the markets and the restaurants. And I mean, my goal is really just to be self-sufficient, have a functioning farm, and be able to pay the bills and make a little bit more, right? To invest back in. I'm not trying to be big, rich, or nothing. I just want to be sustainable. Yeah. If I can't do it all myself, I don't want to do it. I want to have my own animals. I want a milk cow. I just want to be able to do it all on my own.
Quality of life.
quality of life.
Yeah.
Be able to. My main thing is to be able to teach my kids. I got 2 boys, and one's 4, one is just about to turn a year, and I want to be able to teach them all the stuff I wasn't taught. That's my biggest concern in life, is teaching them. Because I mean, my mom was amazing. She did everything for me. She was always there, but she didn't really know any better either. We were all born into how we were raised, right? And I wanna change the course of their lives, hopefully. You know, just at least show them what it should be like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to have all my own stuff, man. I'm happy as could be going to feed the pigs and the chickens. I think we got 10 more chickens coming next week, and just be there. Go and pick up some apple trees right after this.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
That's a pretty cool feeling, like hanging out in your yard. Usually you and I talk for an hour or so, just standing in the yard, looking at the animals and the kids and everything. Your mom pops in and out and stuff. Yeah, it's cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing just to be able to have that. I am happy as could be. I don't need anything else in life. Like I am.
Simplicity.
I want one of them side by side so I can go riding all these trails in Nova Scotia. That's my goal.
That's the goal.
That's my goal.
Simplicity is worth it.
Yeah. No, keep my wife happy. I mean, she's been on this journey with me, right? And, you know, she's had her own struggles. We came from the same area. We were actually born in the same hospital and didn't meet each other till 17 years apart. Like, we've went through a lot together. And we've both helped each other through a lot with all this. And, you know, I just want to be there for my family, to be honest.
That's good, man.
Yeah, the business is I think it's exactly where it needs to be. Just keep doing what I'm doing. Supply these few good restaurants around here. I'd be happy going to that farmer's market and down in the city every day until the day I died. It's a great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Simple.
I've heard they do stats on like what type of career are like the happiest people, and farmers rank very, very high all the time.
Yeah.
Farmers, yeah.
Well, do you know Ron from the Zoom?
No, I know of him, but I don't know him well.
Just seeing them, he's 83 years old or something, right? And I know a lot of people that are 60, 70 years old, 50 years old that couldn't keep up with this guy, right? And I look at his life. It was a farm life, right? He raised on the farm, doing his own thing, working. That dream of retirement's, I don't think that's like
it's not healthy.
No, I don't think it's an actual thing that can happen anymore, right?
Yeah.
The money's just not there. So when I think about my future, well, what am I going to do until I die? I don't want to retire. I don't just want to sit around watching TV, and I just want to live.
Yeah.
Do what makes me happy.
Yeah. Transition a little bit, maybe slow down, whatever, but keep doing what you love to do.
Yeah. Stay active every day. Get out and walk, move.
And I think probably the reason that farmers rank so high on happiness is because it's like a very purpose-driven kind of thing. Like you have a purpose. You're providing food for the masses. You have a reason to get up. You've got responsibility. You get to see something that wasn't there before that's growing, and it's useful to people.
Yeah,
and it's
like
it's a primal thing, right?
Yeah,
it's been around
it's a
for
connection
a long
with
time,
a very old part of us.
Yeah.
That's what it's farming that made us what we are today. That's a society, right? If without farming, we would have nothing. We would still be hunter-gatherers.
Yeah, no,
and
farming's
nothing
been
wrong with
around.
hunting gathering either. I mean, some hunters I know are very happy people too. It just fulfills this very primal part of them.
Yeah, I heard a long time ago, like having a cut lawn, a garden was a sign of money. Like you were rich, right? Having a nice clean cut lawn, because I guess back in the day everybody used to grow stuff in their yard, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I put a garden right in my yard. I don't want to cut the grass. I want to grow it, right?
Yeah. I'd rather grow something I can eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I don't grow flowers to look at.
No.
Let's grow something we can eat, or a lawn. Like, oh, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It just makes sense, man.
Yeah.
It's what we came from. It's how, just like you said, how we've evolved as humans. We came from eating meat. We came from doing all this. We came from farming. We're going into this age where it's completely opposite from that, right? We're letting the big machines and the corporations and all that do it while we sit around, look at our phones and watch TV and find a hobby.
Yeah.
Right?
And we're getting more lonely, sicker physically, mentally.
Yeah.
More unhappy.
Yeah.
Anxiety through the roof. All these things. Yeah. Spending time in nature is like a big benefit. I think, to just bringing down that anxiety.
Well, microdosing and going for a
Yeah.
walk in the woods that's my heaven on earth, man. I can go look at the trees all day and just walk.
I've had the pleasure of sharing mushrooms for the first time with some people really close to me, and it's fun to just give them like a little stem, like a half-gram microdose, like a larger microdose, and go for a walk and just talk and just see the mushrooms start to like affect them, and they're just like, what is going on? What is going on? Like, and I say, that voice in the back of your brain that's usually chattering all the time, like. And they're like, yeah, that voice isn't even fucking home today. Just like it's such a soothing, calming.
Puts you you living in your moment. You're living in the moment.
You're feeling the wind.
Happening.
You're seeing the trees. It's just,
Yesterday was the first
mind.
day that I did a microdose without any weed. And I loved it. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
It was a great day.
Just kind of gets you in the moment.
Yeah.
For like mindfulness training. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
mindfulness. I took a mindfulness course a few years ago. And it's like we're always either living in the past or we're living in the future. But the trick to real happiness is to live in the moment. Like just enjoy whatever it is you're doing right now.
Thoroughly enjoy what you're doing right now.
Look at the stars. Just that.
Yeah.
Just drink the coffee or not drink the coffee. Play with your child and not think about what you have to do. Like just be in that moment.
Yeah.
Or be with your wife or your partner or whatever. Like just,
what else is life?
Just
other
be
than
in that moment, because it can be so chaotic. There's nothing worse than your mind, your body, and your heart being in three places at once. The goal to real happiness and peace, I think, is to have all parts of you in the same place and in the same moment. That's like real peace.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that are tormented with trauma, like they're scattered.
Yeah.
They're scattered. They're hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're constantly worrying about what if or what happened or who's going to think of me about this or anything. And that's no way to live.
Those mushrooms don't let you do that.
Nope.
They put you.
You got to focus. I've been on some crazy trips that like I can now relate back to. It's like, all right, well, if you got through that, you can get through this, right? Like focus on what you're doing, breathe. Like there's a lot of times it has, it's just the mushrooms, buddy. Just take it easy. You're going to be okay. Just keep walking.
But it humbles you, right?
Oh, yeah.
It really humbles you because it tells you you're not in charge.
No.
Microdosing or mushrooms, the thing they do is they teach you are not shit. It's that ego death.
Yeah.
Like you're not in control here. And if you try to fight the mushroom, if you ever tried to control the mushroom,
nope,
you can't.
You go with it. You go
have
with
to
it.
go with it.
I've heard a lot of people in the mushroom world. Yeah, if you got, I'm sure Paul Stamets, you've heard of him.
Yeah.
You got something bad coming up, go towards it, gravitate towards it, focus, figure it out. Don't run away from it. Figure it out.
If you try to fight it, you're in for a fight.
Yeah.
The mushrooms will win.
Oh, yes,
some
they
people
will.
Have the bad trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When's your big trip coming?
I don't know. I need a trip sitter, maybe.
Anytime.
I've been wanting to do it, but I've been a little bit hesitant.
Yeah.
But it's probably time.
That's common. Yeah.
It's probably time.
I've done it many times, and I'm still hesitant to think about it because I know where it's going to take me.
Yeah.
But I think I'm ready for it again. I think I'm ready.
You know where it's going to take you. Where does it take you?
Wherever it's supposed to take me.
Wherever it's supposed to take you. Yeah.
Yeah. I usually, anytime I get into mushrooms, I usually find myself making a mushroom cream sauce. So it takes me where I want to be, making something and doing something I like, listening to some good music or being my wife and, just doing what makes me happy. Oh, yes, it does. It's the best teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kicks your ass a little bit.
I always say, just like everyone I'm telling people to do it, just respect it, right?
Yeah. Just trust it. Go with it. Because I don't believe there's any necessarily, I may be wrong. I don't believe there's any spiritual, mystical thing with the mushrooms. What I think it probably does is it quiets down our own minds and lets our consciousness speak clearly. Mm-hmm. So there's things we know, but we don't want to listen to it. Our ego gets in the way and won't allow it.
Yeah.
But the mushrooms kind of quiets the mind a little bit, and then you give yourself a talking to. And who knows you better than you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I found with the addictions.
Gets the bullshit out of the way, yeah.
There was huge studies for it back in the 50s and 60s with addiction.
Yeah, for a psychedelic.
For cigarette cessation, alcohol, all drugs.
A lot of the psychedelics helped with people with addiction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ibogaine, and there's a lot of different psychedelic treatments now for people struggling with addiction,
No, and that's needed more than ever.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is, because addiction is part of everybody's life, right? It's just like we talk coffee, it's a common thing. Like it's okay. Like you can drink coffee and still go about your day, but it's an addiction, and pretty much everybody's addicted to it.
Yeah.
You just don't realize it.
Yeah, like with me, it was like so much anxiety and stress, and just building and building and building. And one day I took, I think 1.6 grams, something like that. And I find myself in the bathroom talking to myself in the mirror. Like it's almost like I'm seeing myself as completely different. It's not like you normally look in the mirror. Normally look in the mirror and it's, you not really notice yourself.
Yeah.
But it was like I was having a conversation with myself. Like I'm a different person.
Yeah.
And
So that was the most you ever took, 1.6,
yeah,
eh?
Yeah. So I'm having like one of those I love you, man conversations with myself in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Crazy. But, and then it was just like this release of emotions. And I went to bed and I had one of the best sleeps I'd had forever. And I woke up the next day just like a new person.
Yeah.
Just like it just let me get out of my own way a little bit and just let it out.
Yeah.
And move on.
Many people have with like serious traumas have said they've taken one big dose and it's transformed their whole life, and they didn't even need to take anymore.
Yeah.
One dose and that's it.
Yeah, I've heard of that as well.
I know a guy that took 12 grams, which is huge.
That's insane.
And he's a completely different man now. He said, yeah, the old me died, and there's a new guy now. And he's
A
like,
few of him.
this guy runs marathons, and it's like his relationship with his wife is better, and his kid is better, and he's making 10 times more money than he's ever made, and his focus and his discipline. He's not drinking. He's like a totally different person.
Yeah.
Totally different person.
Shakes that brain.
Very
up.
impressed.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah. That's
The
like I
old
said.
guy
If you
died.
would have known me before, if you would have known me, my whole childhood, 20s, you probably wouldn't have asked me to sit here with you today. I tell you that. You wouldn't have asked me to sit here.
Wow.
That's why it's really humbling for me, right? Like just to be where I am now.
Yeah.
And I believe I owe it all to the mushrooms. Like, yes, it's myself too, but it shook it up for me. It made me start seeing life as it should be.
Well,
Wake up
disclaimer
from the
here, we're
matrix.
not recommending people just run out and take anything they can find, because like we're not doctors. But the shame of it is that the mushrooms have been demonized, and they are such a valuable therapeutic.
It's a tool, like
It's
you're
a
saying.
tool,
It's a
but
tool.
right now, because it's illegal technically, and it's not something people like, how do you do it, right? There are some clinical trials going on that you could be a part of, but like it does make it a little more scary and demonized, because you don't know how to start. You don't know where to start. You don't know what to take. You don't know how much to take. But I would recommend, if people do experiment with it, like ask some people you trust and start small.
Yeah.
Start small. That would be my advice.
I mean, this right here, what we're doing, I've watched so many podcasts and listen. This is the best thing for people, is to listen to other people's experiences. Don't listen to your doctor. Don't listen to anybody else. Listen to other real people in the world that go through this stuff. And that's your best teachers, right? This social media tool is, I learned how to grow mushrooms from this. I'm learning how to farm from this. I'm learning, we're now getting connected. There is a great thing with social media because we're all connected, right? And I'm able to learn what all these other people are doing.
Yeah. But there are even more legit people that are seeing the benefit of it. There's more therapists now that see it.
Yeah.
Doctors that see it. It is starting to come along. There are people coming along that are seeing, there's something to this. Yeah. It's not just young teenagers partying in a field taking mushrooms or dirty hippies somewhere.
It is always going to be that as well.
It'll always be that as well, but there are more like really legit, sophisticated people that are thinking, wow, well, this, people that are struggling with their egos that know that.
Yeah.
I know some very successful people that are really interested in this now and have seen some real changes in their lives.
And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take people that are higher up in society, I guess you'd say, bigger doctors, bigger this. And I mean, hopefully it just goes in the right direction though. Hopefully it goes in the right direction, because like even like the weed thing, like it was all promoted for health and stuff, but now look at it, right? Yeah. I mean, it's good and bad. At least it's accessible for the people who need it now. You don't have to worry about going to jail for a little bit, but it's turned into a big business, which it'll probably happen with the mushrooms too.
I hear some of the drug companies are seeing this, and they're experimenting with like synthetic psilocybin.
Exactly.
They want to put it in a pill and sell it to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
fake.
where
fake.
It doesn't. That's when you take away everything from it. It's not real anymore, right? That's the same with vitamins and supplements. Just eat the piece of meat. You don't need all the vitamins and supplements. Like it's all synthesized.
Yeah. More natural.
Yeah. Natural's the way to go.
I think so. There's so much. If you look into like, just do some weird Google searches of mushrooms, so you can see like, it's amazingly old Christmas cards are full of mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like the whole Santa Claus.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
That's my favorite story to tell.
Right. Well, tell a story.
The Santa Claus mushroom, the shamans. That was I forget.
Like Scandinavia.
Scandinavia, some part of Russia.
Yeah.
But the shaman would go around on Christmas, and the snow was up to the rooftop, so he'd come put the mushrooms down through the chimney, right,
Yeah.
and deliver them through the chimney. And
So these are the red and white, the red ones with the white dots. that you see.
Amanita muscaria.
Yeah.
Yeah, that story's fascinating. And the Christmas tree, right? They'd
Right.
hang them into the tree. Oh, they'd hang them in the tree to dry.
Yeah.
And
Because they would usually grow under the trees,
Yeah,
under the pine trees,
under the
right?
pine trees,
They'd pick
yeah.
them, hang them in the tree to dry, which is where,
Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
The stockings above the fire, red and white stockings above
Yeah.
the fire, hanging them up there to dry. I believe that wholeheartedly.
and reindeer flying
Yeah.
comes from that.
Yeah.
Because the reindeer would eat these mushrooms and think they can fly. You can see videos of it.
Tell me any other, like, that is the most sense you can make of Santa Claus. In my, nothing else makes sense to me.
Because the reindeer really do eat the mushrooms,
Yeah.
get high, and they leap into the air.
Yeah.
Like off stumps and shit like that.
Yeah,
Flying reindeer and Santa, like really, folks,
it's real.
Christmas is brought to you by magic mushrooms.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I believe myself that mushrooms, the psychedelics, have had a major role in the evolution of history.
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
The stoned ape theory that
Yeah.
Terence McKenna came up with, that's a fascinating one.
That the brain doubled over a short amount of time.
Yeah. What other ones are there? Even Adam and Eve, they say the forbidden fruit. There's people talking that was probably a mushroom, not an apple. That was probably the Amanita muscaria. I think they played a huge role
Yeah.
in all of our history.
And
And
there's even a book, the ancient mushroom, or the mushroom and the cross. Was
Yeah,
that
the
guy?
Sacred Cross?
Sacred cross. Yeah,
Yeah.
the mushroom and sacred cross. Yeah.
yeah.
There's-
Is that the
there's
road to Ulysses?
One of these scholars that translated the Dead Sea Scrolls. He believed that that the early Christian religion was a mushroom cult.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
I believe it.
who knows?
I believe it all.
But there's probably mushrooms have been a much bigger part of our history than we like to acknowledge lately. Yeah. Because if you look at the old artwork and stuff, they're everywhere. So they must have been a very important part
Definitely.
of our culture. I mean, the Vikings,
artwork's everywhere.
the Vikings would,
Yeah.
would take the mushrooms and before they go into battle and all
The
that. kind of stuff.
berserkers.
The berserkers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard about that. I heard that was broken. That myth wasn't true. But
Is it? No? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? How do you know when because history is always written by the people in charge.
Yeah,
And when the people in charge in the last 40, 50 years have been trying to demonize drugs,
yeah,
you know,
The Viking thing
That
is interesting
changes
though,
things.
because there's a lot more there's different eras of Vikings and there's different places they came from. So it may be true of some and not of others. And there's a lot of the Vikings who then colonized different parts of Europe. They stopped all of their sort of more fighty ways, right?
well, you have to. It's hard to make friends that way.
Yeah, right. And we know like this, so there isn't any way of knowing actually.
Yeah.
I don't think for
No.
sure on one way or another because they didn't keep written records.
Yeah. I mean, I also hear stories of that maybe that's why like the Hindus worship the cow, because the mushroom would grow out of the cow manure. And
Yeah.
it was almost like this sacred knowledge was coming out of these cows.
yeah.
And that's why when you have that experience, and that's why that
I've
they're worshiping
I've heard
the
that
cow.
one before as well. Yeah.
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I did. I had no idea why the cows were worshipped. but
Well, that may
makes
not
sense.
it may not be it at all. But if you think that this animal walking around is shitting out wisdom,
Shitting out wisdom. That's a good way to put it.
maybe it's maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, yeah. Have you heard of the theory panspermia?
Yeah.
Where a
Yeah.
comet crashed into Earth and all these living organisms, and that's how life started.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
fully believe in that. Like
Yeah.
to me, nothing else really makes sense. You know.
Well,
Like,
it's the same as like a dandelion. The seed comes off and blows to the neighbor's yard, and they got dandelions, right? Like maybe life spread around the universe like that.
yeah,
Because some of these like these little spurs, these can live on
Yeah.
on stones.
So that makes me think that there is a mushroom planet like in Mario World somewhere out in the multiverse.
Yeah, mushrooms are everywhere, right?
They're
Super
everywhere.
Mario, Smurfs. Mushrooms have been through culture a lot, but still they're kind of like hush hush.
Yeah, oh yeah. Not
But
anymore.
they're coming
out
more
now.
to the surface now.
They're coming
aren't
out
they?
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to. I mean, it needs to be a part of it. We are humans. Like we are part of this planet.
Yeah.
Why not fully?
Well,
try
if it
and
makes us
understand
nicer, kinder, calmer people, why not?
it? Exactly.
Because there's a lot of drugs that make us assholes. Like cocaine, I'm not going to advocate for cocaine at all. That makes people assholes.
Oh yes, it does.
Yeah. That's
As I
not-
said, I grew up in Florida. I can vouch for
I
that.
mean, if you look at the drug culture, like in the 60s, you had more hallucinogens. People, it was like peace and love, right? Mm-hmm. 60s. Fast forward to the 80s, and it's like, fuck you, I've got money kind of shit. It's
Yeah.
like psychedelic culture, cocaine culture.
Oh yeah.
Completely different.
Oh yeah.
Which music do you like better?
Exactly. I'll take Jimi Hendrix over the flock of seagulls or any day.
Pink Floyd. That's
Yeah.
that's my medicine there.
Yeah. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is.
So what do you think's going to happen? What's your prediction with psilocybin in the next say 5 to 10 years? What do you think's gonna
I
happen?
know. I think it'll become mainstream.
Yeah.
I think you'll be able to get it synthesized, and it'll be everywhere. It'll be more accessible. But to be honest, I don't know. I don't.
I hope to
I
get
don't-
someone in that's going to talk about psilocybin and PTSD. I'm trying to find someone to come in, like a doctor or work at a clinic or a research project or something like that. I think it'll be really fascinating.
I really hope it helps as many people as it can.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't become this big corporate conglomerate thing where people are just in it to make money off of, because I think the world needs it. Right?
Yeah.
I really think they do.
Natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Only time will tell.
Yeah, well, don't underestimate humans' ability to fuck things up.
Exactly. Exactly.
Especially if there's money involved.
That's the issue with it,
Yeah.
right? Once there's money involved, it takes a turn for everything. You know, it's not going to be what it should be.
No.
But there's enough people out there that understand the true meaning of it that will keep that good, and hopefully those people, unlike the berserkers, are writing books and keeping it documented, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, no good recipe shouldn't be written down. Write it all down. Write this stuff down. Pass it on to your kids.
Talk about it.
Talk
Have the
about it,
conversations. 'Cause
right?
I think I bring it up a lot because I'm not ashamed of it. I mean, maybe some people might judge me for talking about something that's technically illegal on this podcast, but I believe in it so much, I'm willing to take that risk.
Well, you asked me if I was okay with talking about it coming on
Yeah,
here.
because
And
it's something you kind of feel like you need to keep quiet sometimes. But I'm
Yeah.
having more and more conversations with people. And if you bring it up, a lot of people are like, either like, wink, wink, yeah, I microdose too. Or I haven't, but I'm really fascinated. Like, help me find it. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. So very, very common now. A lot of people.
It's really easy to get nowadays too,
Yeah.
especially here in Canada. Like,
Yeah.
you can just do one quick little search, and you could have it at your door in a couple of days.
Right.
It's
And
very,
sometimes
very
it's not
accessible.
just the mushrooms. Like sometimes that might be an intimidating way to start, but you can get the little pre-measured capsules.
Yeah.
Right. They're ground up and they're measured out, so you know exactly. That's how I started.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you're getting in like a regular dose. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's definitely a good way to do it. It's, you're not overdoing it. You're not going to set yourself up for failure.
And you're getting consistency and
Yeah,
yeah. It seemed like there's definitely a shift.
there is.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely. There's always going to be the masses, but it's awakening a lot of people. A lot of more people are seeing that the food system and the health system and all this, it's not how it should be. You
Things
know?
get too industrialized, and I think there is like a real yearning to get back to more basic stuff. You see more people planting gardens, more people making sourdough during the pandemic. You know, people buying natural stuff.
That's an addiction too. That sourdough.
Oh yeah, that's an addiction. That's what I am not willing to talk about. We need to stop this conversation right now. You're going to tell me I can't have the sourdough. We're going to have problems.
Well, my wife got into this. She was making the focaccia, I could eat a whole loaf with some fresh butter on there. One sitting.
Yeah, but it's more natural, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have all the preservatives and stuff like that. But
Moderation, I find, for everything
Yeah.
is key. If you can
Yeah.
moderate it, you're okay.
yeah, that's cool. Like
Maybe
and
even coffee.
maybe
Yeah,
that's
maybe
where
even
I'll
coffee.
hopefully find a healthy place for coffee in my life. find a balance. When I was a pastor for 10 years, there was a 2.5 year period where I volunteered at a faith-based addiction center it was like 2.5 years. I was go there 2 afternoons a week and worked with these guys. And I learned a lot because I hadn't even drank yet, right? So here I am, a young pastor. I'd never even had a drink of alcohol or weed or anything. And I'm spending 2 afternoons a week with these young men that are struggling with real addiction.
Yeah.
And they were more terrified of the pharmaceuticals than any of the natural stuff.
Those are the scary ones.
Yeah.
What did you do with them? How did you?
Just kind of like had like classes, a lot about like taking responsibility and stuff like that. Like I wasn't trained to really deal with the addiction part, but I was, other parts of it that I was there to work with them. Just gonna be like 6 or 8 guys, usually guys in a room, and talk about just taking responsibility, thinking things through, talking things through. Yeah, because they would just have classes all day, every day. That's just kind of what they did. Different people would come in and work with them. Yeah. It's been a while now. I kind of forget, but I learned a lot. And I think they just benefited from having someone kind, paying attention, and talking with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of people with addiction usually just get brushed under, right? Oh, he's an addict, he's a drunk, he's a this, he's
just
a that.
Treating them like humans, spending time with them, talking about life and challenges and stuff like that was a big part of it.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't really a huge success rate. Let me tell you, there was a couple guys that did really well for a while, and then they relapsed as well. But I mean, some of these guys were found dead. Some of them escaped and died because they were usually there on a court order. They usually had a choice of going to jail or going to an addiction center. Mm-hmm. So they'd go there because they'd rather be there than jail.
Yeah,
it was
because you can get drugs in there.
Yeah, addiction. It was serious stuff.
Oh,
these guys were struggling, and they all had horrible childhoods.
Yeah,
every one of them.
That's usually what it stems from, right?
Yeah.
Product of your
one
environment.
guy claimed he had a great childhood, but then he also told me that his mom would go buy him drugs. So
that's
he was the one that claimed he had a great
drugs?
like bad drugs, drugs. Yeah.
Not like Tylenol or something.
Yeah. No. So I think it might have just been a perspective thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're definitely a product of your environment. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, anything, you could grow up in a rich family and you could go anyway, right? I mean, I seen that growing up where I was. A lot of kids who had it all, had everything, and a lot of them are dead.
Even
now.
the president of the United States of America's son.
Oh yeah, I just recently seen that in the crack and stuff.
Crack,
right?
yeah.
That's
crack, guns, prostitutes. That's the whole thing. They
That'll
found a
take
little
places.
bag. I think they found a little baggie of coke in the White House a few months ago.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, can certainly relate with people.
Yeah.
No, but we joke, and it's really not funny though. Like addiction is.
It's serious.
It's sad.
It's sad. It's serious, and it plagues society in every which way.
Yeah.
And it's stigmatized as well. People find it difficult to talk about.
Imagine
that's the worst part of it, really, because if you can talk about it, that's the only way you can get past it, really. Mm-hmm. If you can't, you're in denial about it.
Well, there's stages, right? Like acceptance is one of the first ones, right? Mm-hmm. You have to accept of what you're going through.
That's true.
Imagine all those guys that you were with if they had a little microdose capsule, how the conversations would have went differently, right? Changed their mind a little bit, and they started talking about this and really getting into their feelings and opening up and trying to understand.
Or even like calm the mind enough to even be able to have a coherent thought. Because sometimes when you grow up in trauma, your brain's just buzzing. Mm-hmm. A lot of these people have like ADHD or like learning disabilities, focus problems, anger issues, because their mind is just stuck in this fight or flight, and they're buzzing, and they can't calm down enough to process the trauma and the problems. And the mushrooms, I think, can help with that.
They really can.
Yeah.
I'll probably go take a microdose tonight. You've got me into it now.
Well, you are the mushroom guy.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I love them. I just love doing it, right? And to me, they're not addictive. Like
I've never heard that.
No, it's not addictive at all. Like I could go and do a gram tonight and just have a good night and not think about it for a couple weeks, not even want it. Just like, that was a good time. And that's it.
Yeah, or like the guy I told you that took 12 grams. That was a one and done kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not a fun experience. That's not a party drug experience. That's like, okay, this changed my life, but I don't want to do that every day.
No, you don't.
No,
well, then you lose touch from reality, right?
Yeah.
Again, treat it with respect,
Yeah.
Treat it like a tool. I think the most I ever took was about 4 or 5 grams in a night, and I was drinking on top of that. And it took me to some crazy places. And my good buddy's looking at me like I'm tripping balls. And he's, you okay, buddy? You don't look so good. And the other friend, like, don't tell him that. He's tripping balls. Leave him alone right now. I'm just sitting over here in my own world like, what is going on, right? It was wild.
Were you afraid in the moment?
I don't know. I don't know. The whole world was purple at the time, purple and gray and black, and I think I was more sick because I was drinking liquor too.
Yeah,
I was more of a beer drinker, so whenever I got into
I wouldn't
liquor,
recommend mixing that stuff.
No, it was horrible.
Yeah, and then when you come out of on the other side, what was it like when you come out on the other side?
I don't remember. I think it was still. I was probably went to like 4 or 5 in the morning, so I went to sleep drunk and then just woke up the next day regular, right?
And I think probably when people take it as a party drug, they're not really in the place where they're willing to examine themselves. Like you're mixing with alcohol and you're just trying to numb yourself.
Yeah,
Where
you're not
if
you're
in a different
in.
place in your life and you take it as a therapeutic kind of experience, it's a totally different drug. It's a totally different experiment.
Totally different experience.
Yeah, just like
right?
you take it not as an escape, but as like, okay, like teach me something here. Like
yeah, first time I gave it to, like, really did it with my wife. We were just camping one night, brought the camper out to campground, and she, Pink Floyd, I was always listening to it, and she would just like hear me playing with it, right? And then we sat down that night, and she fell in love. She sat down, she said, oh my God, I see this is amazing.
Yeah, you experience the world in a different way.
Yeah, you really, and that's, do it on your own. I was so excited yesterday to do the microdose without smoking weed because I've never done it without weed. I've always been high. And so yesterday it was like a clarity, right? Like it was just beautiful. And it was really enjoyable.
Calming.
Yeah. Calm, energetic.
Focus,
And that's the main, I just want to be focused now because I've never been focused.
But, well, see, I have this theory, like all the stories, movies, novels, stories, the heroes are usually the person that stays calm in the crisis and comes up with a clever solution, executes the plan, and saves the day.
Yeah.
The heroes are not usually the ones that are like freaking out, crazy, scared. We have a huge respect, whether we recognize it or not, for people that can stay calm. There's something soothing about that, something heroic about that, something that we really admire. Yeah. That's why I like the alpha of a dog trainer was in here the other day. The alpha of the pack, the wolf pack, that's the strong, calm, focused wolf. Right. It's got nerves of steel. It can focus on the problem, comes up with a clever solution, saves the day. And our minds are so chaotic, and we're chasing our tail sometimes, or our emotions. We're making decisions. We're embarrassing ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. The people around us can't trust us or count on us. But if we're going to lead companies and lead families and lead friends and lead our communities, what's more valuable than coming to that? Do whatever you need to do to come into the situation as a calm, clever, together leader.
Right.
You got to calm that nervous system down.
Every action really doesn't need a reaction.
Right.
It needs time to
clarity.
Think. Yeah, think about it.
Look after yourself, your nutrition, your sleep, your whatever you got to do to keep yourself together and calm. So when your kids come to you with a problem, you can communicate with them, not like snap at them, or for an employee or someone in the community. Like just take that time. If I can recommend anything, whatever it takes, to keep yourself calm and cool.
Yeah.
And be that kind of hero where you can be that for your family or your community. Calmer, happier, more put together people have a lot more to offer than someone who's always just frazzled. Because sometimes we think the action is being productive. Go, 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 go. I'll neglect my nutrition. I'll neglect my sleep. I'll neglect looking after myself. I won't meditate. I won't work out. I won't do these things because action is progress, but not really. No. If you can be a calm person in someone's life, it can mean all the difference.
I've been learning in this farming lifestyle that like setting yourself up for the future, right? Like I come from the lifestyle, go, 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 go. You get your paycheck every Friday, more hours, more money, more hours, more money. And it never got me anywhere. And I've been learning just stay calm, stay focused, and set yourself up for the future. Take time to think about what's going to benefit you in 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road.
Or your family.
Yeah.
Your kids, your sons will be able to come to you because you're a calm, together individual.
Yeah.
Probably a lot easier than you could go to your dad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's I was the angry guy, just like my father was. I grew up with him beating me, and I've never hit my kids, but I had that anger come out sometimes because that's how I was raised. I was always yelled at, right? So I was starting to do that with my kids, and I don't want to be anything like that because you don't get anywhere.
No,
you're just yelling, and then now your kids just learning to yell, and now everybody's just yelling.
Yeah,
nothing's happening.
And when they have a need, they're not going to come to you.
No.
Yeah,
I was always scared
character.
to go to my dad
Yeah.
with something that I did wrong because he would beat me.
Yeah.
Right? He'd hit me. And I mean, no little kid wants to get hit if you don't have to. So for me, I really just everything you were saying right there, that's how I'm trying to be as a person too. Cool, calm, collected, just
like not fake it, but really be it.
Really be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Under whatever situation's happening, just try and figure it out. Just get yourself through it, right?
Yeah. Because I know in like my 30s, I would try to fake it, just kind of white knuckle it, like just stop the behavior, stop being cranky or snap, but you're still freaking out on the inside. And that's probably a step in progress.
I think it is a step.
I think it's a step in progress. But now in my 40s, I'm actually at the place where like, no, I know I need to actually calm my nervous system, get that anxiety down. So then whatever happens, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me and for my people.
You're one of the calmest, like your demeanor is
it's
just
not
very,
natural.
very calm.
It's work. It's work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everything's work.
Yeah.
Your relationship with yourself is probably the hardest work you're ever going to have, right?
Yeah.
Your own willpower to do what you want to do and say, okay, no, I'm not gonna have that today. I'm not gonna do this today. I'm not gonna get mad and pissed off. I'm gonna.
Oh, and I was there. I've been there. Yeah, especially through the pandemic when it's so scary with the company, struggling and stuff like that. It was hard. There was days I snapped at people. I know I shouldn't have, embarrassed about it, in the early days of the company, all that stuff. But a real goal of mine now is to be genuinely calm and cool.
Yeah.
Like that is my goal. And that's all that really matters. Like no matter what happens, whatever crisis comes, my goal is to stay calm and cool.
Yeah.
The Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius and all those old Stoics, they say all you really have is your character, how you behave. You can't control the world around you, but how do you respond? Yeah, that's kind of my religion now. That's all you got.
That is it.
You got to look after yourself to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people can count on you.
Take care of your brain, take care of your health.
Yeah.
And that so people can count on you. That for myself, I look at, I have 2 kids, a wife and a mom now, that if something happens to me, if I'm off the deep end, all their whole lives are going to change drastically, right?
You can't just push yourself to burnout and think that that's doing a good job.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, and that's a big thing too.
Is,
when I first started the business, I was starting on a Monday, right, as I usually would, and then my work all week, and then we had Saturday markets out here, right? And so I'd be going from Monday to Saturday, and I did that for, what am I doing? I just got out of this 6-day-a-week work. I got to change this. All right, so Sunday, Monday, we take the days off. I get all my stuff done in the week, and even if I have extra stuff to do, don't wait till it's time to do it. Don't try and just take care of yourself.
Yeah,
really take care of yourself.
Yeah,
yeah. I know for you, like you're running a restaurant. That's one of the most hectic things you can do. Right?
Yeah, yeah. But if you can be calm in that, you can be calm in anything.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, for a long time I'd always wish, I hope things slow down. Why is everything so stressful and scary? And why is there a pandemic and now inflation? And I've just stopped that thinking. I'm like, I'm not waiting for the conditions to change because you're a fool. The conditions will never change. The storm's not going to stop. You just got to be cool in the midst of it all. Just embrace the chaos and try to find the inner peace to handle whatever it is, and then whatever comes next, because I'm kind of afraid that what comes next might be worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It could be.
It could be.
Supply chains or world wars or whatever. This, whatever, 5-10 years from now could make what we're going through now look like Disneyland.
Yeah. I have some thoughts. I feel like I might have been put out here for a reason, and I think I'm doing what I'm doing for a reason. I think, like a lot of other people probably do, I feel like there's a lot of impending doom, like the structure of society isn't really the best,
could
right?
Be. Yeah.
And it could all fall apart. We all seen it.
Yeah.
But
if you can prepare your life for that, it's not good. It's not bad to be prepared. Like prepare your heart and your mind and your body and your farm and your family.
Yeah.
For whatever happens.
Yeah. Have some extra
it's a good
water.
Place to be.
Some extra mushrooms dehydrated.
Some extra peace of mind.
Yeah.
some extra mental strength.
Yeah.
Just be ready for whatever. Yeah. It's not a bad. Not a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been beautiful.
Yeah, it's been fun, man.
Really appreciate you having me on.
It. Yeah, we'll have to do it again. It'll be interesting to see what happens with how the world continues to change their view on mushrooms.
Yeah.
Be interesting. I know Canada's putting a lot of research and a lot of interest in that. So hopefully, I think we are among the world leaders for mushrooms.
Yeah.
And
I know the
mushroom
University
therapy.
of Guelph, they're doing big things
there's a
over
few.
there.
There's a few universities in Canada and a lot of research projects going on. So that's pretty promising, pretty exciting. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks,
Thank
Sean. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe, or if you'd like to support us, please visit Refound Brewing Company at 573 Main Street, Kingston, or buy our product wherever it's available, including our Foolishly Optimistic IPA at your local NSS. Thank you.